Good morning. We're live. Today, we're going to take you through the serial number tracking functionality for Clarus WMS. Today, we want to basically cover everything from the initial setup right through the goods in process and then throughout going to dispatch as well. I'd like to welcome everybody that's taken the time to listen. I basically want to frame this session. What we're looking to do is basically, we understand that serial numbers is one of the core issues in a lot of warehouses, especially if you handle electronics. A lot of companies, we've realized, are still using Excel spreadsheets, no matter how complicated people can make them with macros and advanced formulas. It still leaves a bit of a gap and always provides that opportunity for errors to occur, especially when they talk about human errors as well. So that being said, we want to take you straight in. I want to introduce the team. First of all, I'm going to be presenting today. My name's Craig. I'm the COO of Clarus. We've got Jack, one of our solutions consultants, who's going to take and lead the demo. We've also been joined by Connor, who heads up the IT and operations for Road Truck Services in Kildare, Ireland. And in the background, we've got Andy, who's making everything run. Throughout the session, we're going to run a couple of short polls. The first of which is just to get a good feel for the people that are on the webinar, what your current position is when it comes to serial numbers. The first question is, how are you handling your serial numbers today? And he's going to throw up a poll there. So the options are spreadsheets and manual logs, Clarus WMS or another WMS, or you're not even tracking it and you're just considering how to track it currently. I'll let Andy put that poll live. Okay. Now the poll is live. If you want to just put your feedback in again at any time throughout this webinar, feel free to use the chat function if you're on our webinar directly. If you're on LinkedIn Live, you can reach out to any one of us directly through LinkedIn. We will get back to you. Okay, so we're going to go straight into our demo now. We want to just really focus on introducing the idea of serial tracking through a WMS. At this point, I will hand over to Jack.
Hi guys, so as Craig said, I'm Jack from the solution consultant here at Clarus WMS. I'm just going to share my screen and start off with the demo. Second, just make sure that we can see that. All good. So the first thing that I'm going to start off with is prop creation. So I'll enter my product code. I'm just going to use mobile phone for this one, as they typically use for serial numbers. And then I can select what type of serial number tracking that I want to set. So no tracking is, you don't track serial numbers at all. So this is a mobile phone, this is a water bottle or something like that. You don't need to track the serial number against it. We've got track during pick, which allows you to serial numbers during picking aspects of Clarus. So whether this is doing it by the HHD and you're entering the serial number that you're picking at the pallet, or we've got full tracking, which is what I'm going to demo to you today, which tracks the serial numbers through the inbound process. So when you're receiving the goods into the warehouse, and also during the picking process. So when you're sending them out to the customer, and this allows you to track, okay, what serial numbers have come in, and which ones have left the building, which ones have we still got in stock. So I'm going to set that one up now for phone tracking, and I'm just going to assign it to my phone test account so that I can demo for you. And now I'm going to flip over to receipts and show you our column manager. So we've got here serial numbers already added in. We've got 3 columns that you can add to your goods in receipt to help us track the serial numbers through the process. Edit serial numbers allows you to edit serial numbers and add them in. Serial number tracking setting. So this will show you if it's not being tracked, if it's tracked during pick, if it's full tracking. And then the serial number column at the end allows you to see which serial numbers you have linked to this column. So which ones have come in as part of the goods in receipt. Let's move on to adding these numbers, the phones into, so we've got a mobile phone. one. Just want to make sure the correct one. Yes, it is. Let's receive 3 of those on one pallet, and I'll set this up so I can show you the HHD config. And then I'm going to set another one so I can show you how it works for the front end tracking as well. So we've got one mobile phone and one pallet. I'm then going to just set my receipt up so I can demo that. So then it's today's date, so we know which one it is. What time is this delivery expected? It's still due now. The account, so phone test, and then that fills in the warehouse and the goods eBay. I'll then press save and edit. It's saying this as it's in the past, because I've just done it a minute ago. So that's the receipt setup. I can then jump over to my HHD flow and receipt the goods in. So I'm going to select receipt, and I want to do pre-receipt for this one, and then receive on existing goods in receipt as I already set it up. I'm going to take my reference and enter that, and then it's asking me to scan my product. So I'm going to enter my code, but you may have a SKU, a barcode that you're going to scan. But to make an example, whilst I'm doing it on my laptop, I'm going to enter the barcode product here. Press enter, and then select the storage unit that it's coming on. So it's on a standard pallet. This first one that I'm going to receive is this 3 quantity here. So there's 3 of my mobile phones on this pallet. So enter 3, and then enter the storage unit quantity of 1. And then it's asking me to enter my serial numbers so I can track them through. So if I press add serial numbers, once I put it in, so let's just do, for this example, #1, and that serial number, you can see it comes up here. You can then remove it if you want to. If you've made a mistake and added the incorrect serial number, I'm going to add serial number 2, and then just for the next one, I'm going to add that as well. Once I've added those, I can press finish scanning, and you can see that this full and receipt has been added to my goods in line. I can finalize that if I wanted to. Jump over to my receipt, refresh my screen so I can show you that it's come through. So we've got 50% received because I've only received 1 of the pallets, and then we've got the other mobile phone in front, which I'm still waiting to receive. If I add in the serial numbers here, so you can see I've got #1 serial number, #2, and then #999. I fold this bottom one. I'm going to do it through the front end for you. So if you press edit numbers, and then you want to type that in. So for this case, I'm not going to use a hashtag, delete 9, and then press add serial numbers. You can see that's come up there, so I can edit it in this case if I want to, or I can leave it save, and then complete all it. That stock has now been received, so I can then put it away into my locations. The next thing that I want to just quickly jump through with you is the actual stock list. So if I go to the stock list here, and I'll refresh my screen, I'll go to the phone test, okay, because I want to find all the stock for that test. You can see here we've got mobile phone 1, and then we've also got the tracking, so it's a full tracking that's on this product. You can see the status that it's in. So for this one here, we'll use a 3rd line, which is a 3 quantity. You can see I've just received that in. I'm going to open that up, and then if I scroll down to the serial numbers, you can see all the serial numbers that I received. So we've got #1, #2, and #99. So little later on, when I'm showing you the good day process, you'll see that I'm able to pick some of that stock.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea on the breadth of control available through Clarus's serial number tracking, specifically for the goods in process. one important thing to call out there is that is the worst case scenario for your speed. In most cases, customers will be receiving things from an ASN or pre-receipts. All of that will speed up the process. So realistically, you're talking 2 or 3 scans. This demo is obviously Jack manually entering everything. And even at that point, we've only been about 10 minutes or so. So what we're going to do is move on to the poll number 2. And the question for poll number 2 is, where does serial tracking cause the most pain for you? The options are goods in through capturing serials on receipt. Is it goods outbound for confirming serial numbers at the point of pick or dispatch? Is it during the recall or returns process, just making sure you can track specific units? Or is it on the reporting and auditing side, just proving what you've got? So Andy's going to put that poll up and make it live. That should be live for you now. And on that note, what we're going to do is move back into the demo and look at the goods out process. During that process, I will maybe call out a few things and ask Connor for his insight, as he's one of the first people in our customer base to test the functionality. Over to you, Jack.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen again. Great stuff. Over the bottom right corner. So, I jumped over to sales order, which is a new sales order. It's my reference to both the sales order, just today's date. So I'm going to pick it, what expected date and time of dispatch. So I've put right now or a minute ago, and then I've assigned it kind. I'm not going to put any other information in. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and select which stock I want. So let's select this bottom one here. So mobile phone 1, you can see that's the one that I've just received in. And then quantity is 3. I want to pick just one of these. So I'm selecting that stock, same as the weeks of pick, but I'm calling about one of them. So I'll save and edit that. When it's coming time to, I want to go pick the sales order. I'm going to process my pick. And you can see my picking list has been completed successfully. I've now got pick instructions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to my HHD, finalize that. So I go to the home screen, and then I'm going to go to picking, and then pick from order list. And then I'm going to select the sales order or pick list that I want to work on. So this bottom one here. I'm going to pick in this to a new pallet. I know it's only a single mobile phone, so you may not pick this to pallet. You might have this in a pick base or something like that. Stock. But in this case, I'm just going to pick it to a new pallet. And then it tells me what location to go to. So I've got location 101. I'm going to scan that. Which pallet am I taking from? So obviously, here's pallet. What mobile phone? So what product is saying what product to scan here? Like I said earlier, you can use the SKU or barcode. I'm just going to use the actual product code itself. And then confirm the quantity. So just one. And then next. And then which serial number am I picking? Which one am I going to try? So if you remember before, we've got these serial numbers here, so I can show and pick any of these serial numbers. So I'm just going to do #2, and then the serial number, and then select finish scanning. So you can see that the above task has been completed successfully. If I wanted to, I may go back here and pick another sales order. If I hop back over to my pick list and refresh my screen, and then add in the serial columns for you, you can see that the product was full tracking. You can see the serial number that has been hit, and then you can see that it has also been completed. If I refresh my screen, we'll then have a task to do, go and dispatch that. If I wanted to check what transactions have been against this mobile call, I can jump over to the transaction page. How I'm going to set this up is go to column manager at the top right, and then view all transactions. I'm going to change that to transactions with serial numbers. and then press OK.
Just as a really quick call out here, in our system, transactions is an event log. It tells us at any point when that stock has either been received, been moved, been changed. So when Jack's showing you the transactions log, what he's effectively saying is showing you every single touch point someone in your business has had with that piece of stock.
Yeah, so let's take this hashtag serial number, for example. I've certain products and then just added the hashtag 2 so we can see it a bit clearer. If we can scroll across, you can see what users completed the receipt. If I added in here the completed in the past, that being the completed at column, you can see it was created at this time, and you can see the quantity. You can see what time the putaways task was created, and then you can actually see that it was allocated to a sales order. You can see sales order ID and the pick list ID, and then you can see what time the pick was done, 10:15. This just allows you to track your serial numbers all the way through the system, as Craig said. If you have any queries from any customers, hey, this product, we never received it, something like that. This, if you come to the serial number, so got what you can track, basically, what flow and what time it's gone through your warehouse from start to end. And that will completely user who's completed the task. So maybe that'll allow you to do some more training or something like that. So I think we're back to you now, Craig.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot. So hopefully that gives you a really good idea in terms of the functionality available through serial number tracking. Obviously, one of the things that stands out when we look at our serial number tracking solution is that it's completely built into the system. So as Jack just showed you on the transaction screen, every single one of those data points are click-throughs to give you extra detail and data. And the final point, I guess, on that is that what Jack just showed you is available for your customer base if you want it to be. As part of our platform, we have the client user license, which lets you give a controlled access view. So hopefully that would stop quite a lot of queries. Customers will be able to go into your platform, see their stock, basically answer their own questions. And it's completely configurable as well. So the guys can turn on and off any feature and access right down to specific feature details. At this point, I'd like to bring in Connor from Road Truck Services and just ask a few questions. Connor, how you feeling with the serial number tracking as we start now?
Yeah, no, it was a big thing. I was on to you a good few times asking about when this was coming. And we essentially, what happened was we got a new customer. We tried using workarounds that we had in Clarus. We tried using the batch field, but that meant we had to receipt in a product line by line. So if we received 100 units, we'd have to do it one by one, which is, it just takes too long. We can't be doing that. So our workaround eventually ended up being that we installed Excel onto one of the scanners, which also needed an account. So that was another cost to us. We used the serial, so we'd receipt all the goods in from a normal way without tracking the serial numbers. And then someone with a scanner would go into Excel and scan each storage unit reference of the serial number. And then we'd upload it back into Clarus into one of the fields. That was our workaround for this, which is why serial numbers came. It was a massive help for us. So now we've looked at it. For some products, the flexibility to do some products, we have some accessories that don't have serial numbers. Having a system from the scanner point of view that when they're going to pick, it just doesn't ask them for it. That's a big help for us. No one's guessing, does this need a serial number? Is this one of the products? It's all done from the system base. It's really reduced our receipting in time and our picking time, because now they pick one of the units, scan the serial number, go straight into the system. And it saves 3 or 4 people a lot of headaches. When we were looking back, we've had a few recall queries and we're going back through Excel files. If it didn't upload properly, we're going back through transaction logs just to try and find this one. At least now it's all in one place, which is a big benefit for us. We're also looking at it for new customers that come in. It's something we can offer them now, and they have full traceability of it in a field labeled serial number and not just an empty string or batch field being incorrectly used by us. Yeah, definitely needed, and definitely one of the requirements from a couple of customers that we've onboarded since.
Perfect. So going back to your users, how have you felt the adoption's gone? Obviously, one of that's is quite a significant change, adding extra steps into any kind of workflow.
Yeah, it's been very welcomed. It's been, if you think the pickers were literally receipting everything in and then doubling back on their job to scan the storage unit reference, and we're receiving in 200-300 products per trailer. It really depends. I went into the warehouse and I said, forget all that. You're just going to have to do it in one place. And sure, they were delighted to test it. And when we tested it, I realized that we were a lot quicker. So what we've done since is we've realized some products are worth us receiving in and scanning it on pick. We've realized that some products are, the larger products, I should say, are easier to scan on receipt. So having that flexibility to scan based on our needs it has saved us a lot of time overall, from the moment the goods come in to the moment they go out.
Perfect. I guess one of the other questions that it comes to mind is, since that change, what's been the operational impact for you?
When it was released, it was on me, obviously, to configure the scanners. Thankfully, we have a very good warehouse team that are always looking to improve, and they're very welcoming to the new changes. So I didn't have to push back too much to push this in, but yeah, just having the ability to have it under a serial number. And the fact that the other thing is we can receipt in bulk now where we couldn't before. That is the biggest help to us. We've actually put a label printer, or we're planning on putting a label printer, I should say, out in the warehouse, so that when they receipt, it goes straight. They're there beside the product just to stick the 10 on when they come off the trailer. Yeah, like we're getting there. And eventually, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a proper full system with this new serial number feature that just improves everything overall. But receipting in was the biggest delay for us, and then putting it away afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the final question from my point of view for you, Connor, is you were one of the first few in the beta phase. You've touched and felt serial numbers for a while now, in the impact in your business. What would you say is the next few things you'd like to see from the functionality side that you think might come pretty quickly?
Definitely, it's been a question for a couple of customers that they want the serial numbers on paperwork and things like that. So we have one kind in particular that we've stored a lot of information in hidden fields in Clarus, and we found the easiest way is to put it on the TMS paperwork, because it has all those fields already linked. They have custom PO numbers, they've custom numbers that mean nothing to us, but they mean everything to their client. So we've actually worked, and we can export it now from Clarus into one, and we're only printing one paper, which is saving on paper. Really, it means our warehouse team only need to print one thing, and we have that all set up now automatically. So an order comes in, paperwork gets printed out, and they have it there. There's no more manual intervention, which is the big thing. The scalability for us is we're looking to go into more complex products, and hopefully one day we're in pharmaceutical and things like that. So having this functionality already in the system is one step closer for us getting there. We can now showcase that, yes, we can do this, and yes, we can have rules around the batch numbers and the serial numbers. We have the tools from our warehouse management system to go into these areas, which is exciting for us. And from our conversations is welcome from your side as well. We're going to work on it. As I might see something with serial numbers that they require that could benefit everyone. We'll be working closely on that one. So I think just having it there and allowing us to get new customers, because it is a requirement from a lot of them now that we store the serial numbers for them, but also that they can see them. So it is a big one. And I don't have to tell them to use, oh yeah, that's string one there. It's an empty field that means nothing to our customers. And they're like, I don't understand what this is. So having it labeled serial numbers is actually a big help as well.
Perfect. You mentioned your TMS. It's fairly safe to mention the TMS as one of our partners. How have you found the workflow from your side of things working with Clarus and Cargo together?
Yeah, it's been really good. I went to yourselves and asked, do you have a TMS system that you link up with or integrate with at all? And then it was actually from yourselves that we ended up going with Cargo. It's been great having the integration out of the box like that. Really sped up. We're only with Cargo this year, and it's been great. So all I had to do was send a request to both sides to say, look, we want this field over, and it was done within a day or two. It didn't take too long at all. So yeah, having that out of the box is really good, and having the ability to the two systems to talk to each other. Like we have returns and things like that. We can book stock back in, and it creates a receipt on Clarus' side for our warehouse. It is good to have two systems that are so closely together, and it has helped us as a transport and warehousing company.
Got one last question, and that is, what would your advice be to anyone that's going to be in a similar position, looking to bring in serial numbers, looking to manage that in the warehouse?
Yeah, if you're thinking about doing it, I would say do it as quick as possible. It's a short-term pain for a long-term gain. We spent about a month or two really fine-tuning, and I sat down with the warehouse team and said, okay, what do you want to see? What way do you envision this to work for yourselves? And we went through many iterations of how this was going to look on the scanners and the handhelds for our guys. But after that, after the month, we are now in a position where we don't have to worry about it anymore. There's no manual upload. There's no manual scanning of a million storage unit reference and then uploading them into Clarus. There's none of that anymore. So we know now for certain when we scan a serial number, it's going into the system and we don't have to worry about it. Obviously, sometimes we were uploading 800, 900 at a time, which, as you can imagine, if you're scanning them on receipt before you put it away, you're just delaying the whole process. So we having the ability to do that is where it works. But it did take, I'm not going to lie, it did take about a month and a half for us to really, now that's still within us messing with the scanners and going, do we want it before we enter the quantity? Do we want it after enter the quantity? Do we want it on a separate page? Do we want it? We went through a lot of iterations to do it, but absolutely, I would really invest time and put it in as soon as possible if you're thinking of it.
Perfect. Okay, so before we move on to questions, we've got one last poll that's going to go live, and that is, the question will be, what's the biggest challenge stopping you from improving serial number tracking? Andy's going to set that live now, and then we're going to move to our final section, which is our Q&A. We have luckily got Andy in the background who's been monitoring any incoming questions from both platforms. Andy, we got any questions?
Nothing at the moment, but we'll fire for 2 minutes.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of minutes left over. If you've got any questions, feel free to throw them into the Q&A section on the webinar or drop them into LinkedIn. We'll hang around for another couple of minutes and hopefully answer any questions that anyone's got. If you are on either platform and you would like to get a bit more of a personalized demonstration on how serial numbers work, feel free to drop a comment on LinkedIn. You can put in a chat on the Q&A through the webinar software. Equally, if you've got any iterations or you'd like to look at the wider platform, you can visit our website, which is claruswms.co.uk.
So waiting for some questions to come through. I think it's good that what I would say, they went through the different stages of the HHD and looked at what point they wanted to track the serial number.
Yeah.
I think it's key to highlight that we can look at changing which point of the HHD you want to do that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Wherever it's configurable. So wherever you want it, you can take a look at, okay, yeah, let's do it that. And we'll also advise steps of, okay, do you really want to do it at that point? Well, does that make sense to your business? So that's another key thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess one of the key things to highlight there is that when we say we can look at it, the tool is built front end. It's not a case of us going away for a couple of weeks and the developers building something different for you guys. It's quite literally going into the front end, moving a couple of things around, pressing save and testing it, which is pretty much unheard of in our industry. Yeah. I can see nodding and smiling.
Fair, like serial numbers aside, just in general with the HCD, the warehouse team go up and go, oh, we'd love to see this on it. Can it be done? And I have a fairly good grasp after talking with you guys for so long that I'm able to do it. And you're talking a couple of minutes to even just change it for everyone. So it is a nice feature. It's a really nice feature to have, that it doesn't take, it's not going in and coding anything. You're literally just, I want serial numbers. There's the serial number shield and I want that to go here.
Yeah.
Really, it's fairly nice to use.
Question? Okay, so at that point, I think we're going to call time on that. Once again, thanks a lot for your time, Connor, and thanks for everyone to listen as well. We will be back with another webinar soon.